This video is brought to you by the FarmerKlein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Farming Simulator 22 map first impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at PGR Agro Pomerania. But before that, this video is brought to you by Patrick Coinier and Schultz Modding. Thank you for being farm barons. So the PGR Agro Pomerania map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu. And as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Let me read you some of the description. Welcome to PGR Agro Pomerania. The Agro Pomerania map is a large farm that grows crops, animal husbandry, and production. This map includes one large farm with BGA, 14 fields and 4 meadows, lots of forest areas, a shop with workshop, 2 production points, 10 sell points, 2 villages, and a sawmill. Now, this map also does have 5 required mods. Those required mods are the Manure and Slurry Dealer Pack, Water Fountains Pack, Refillable Tanks, Sosnovska Placeables Pack, and the Wooden Beehive. Let's go ahead and load on in. Now, in addition to those required mods, we are going to be using the mods we typically use when we look at maps. They are additional field info, additional game settings, animal food overview, field lease, field calculator, precision farming, and straw harvest. If you happen to load this map up in farm manage mode or start from scratch, what you're going to find is the farmhouse and the bees at the main starting farm are not present, but everything else is present at the main starting farm. In addition, you do start out by owning machinery in all game modes. With respect to low-end systems, I had 0 issues whatsoever in maintaining a solid 60 frames per second wherever I was on this map with my low-end system using AMD integrated graphics. So if you are running a lower powered system, this map should run very, very well. Right here at the map load up point, we do have our sleep trigger. And let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. And one of the things you are going to first notice here is we are working with some fairly large plots of land. In addition to that, we do have all the standard crops available to us in FS22, as well as the premium crops of red beets, carrots, and parsnips if you have that DLC activated. Going to our farmland screen, you'll see we start out by owning farmland ID 16. That is the main starting farm that can be bought for $423,900 in any alternate game mode. In addition to that, we do have farmland ID 19 and 21 owned at the start. They are fields, well, 11 and 13 respectively. With respect to other buyable areas, well, we've got several farm lands, we have several meadows, we do have several forestry plots as well. We go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. This is going to show us all of the buyable farmlands, how large those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any field or fields, what is included, then lastly, how much is that farmland going to cost us. We can then go and cross-reference that with our field calculator screen, and this is going to show us the specific sizes of each particular field. You see the 2 fields that we own are 0.58 and 1.12 hectares respectively. Meanwhile, other fields on the map, well, we have one that is 18.95, 27.97, and 25.59 hectares. Meanwhile, we also have field 14 at 0.81. So you can say we've got a range of fields from very, very small to very, very large. With respect to our crop counter, we do have what appears to be the base game crop counter available on this map. And let's go ahead and take a look at our precision farming soil map. We are making use of the generic soil map that is a part of the precision farming mod. As such, you can see how it is being applied to these fields. Fields to the north of the main farm, well, they're going to mostly consist of silty clay and loam with a little bit of sandy loam mixed in. Fields to the south of the main farm, well, that's going to be a completely different story. We've got loamy sand, sandy loam, and loam. And then fields to the extreme south are going to introduce some more silty clay. With respect to our prices screen, we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops that are available to us in FS22. Now, one thing I want to point out is we've got a couple issues here on this map. At least I'm going to call them issues because I think they're going to affect gameplay when it comes to a player trying to figure out where in the heck you're supposed to sell some of this stuff. we have multiple sell points that share the same name. We have 2 barns on this map, and we also have 2 sell points named Fabric. In fact, 2 of the 3 productions built into this map are named Fabric. They are in different parts of the map. So therefore, you are really going to need to know which fabric and which barn is going to accept what, or if they both accept the same thing, like here, sugar beet cut, well, you're going to need to know which entry is where, as opposed to just going to a barn and dropping it off, because you may not get what you're expecting as far as a price. With respect to our animal outputs, we do indeed have the ability to sell our eggs, wool, and milk, as well as our silage, hay, straw, and grass. Continuing down through the base game production items, we do indeed have the ability to sell all the base game production items available to us in FS22. In addition, we do have the ability to buy bulk lime. And we do have a way of getting rid of our stones if you are playing with stones enabled. With respect to our farm production pack, we do have the ability to sell our washed vegetables, as well as our premium expansion. Most of the premium expansion are going to be sold down at the grocery, which is always good to see because this map does have a fair bit of forestry. Now, with respect to our premium expansion, we do indeed have the ability to sell all of those things, as well as separated manure. The barns are going to accept separated manure. And then we also have hay and straw pellets. Again, both accepted at both barns, as well as fabric and soft notka. As far as your starting fleet goes, we started with a very modest list of starting machinery. It is all well maintained and it is all owned at the start. We do have a cow pasture on the main starting farm, but we do not have any animals. This map does have contracts. We do start out by owning the BGA. It is also at the main starting farm. And this map does not have any collectibles. With respect to our starting fleet, we have the Kloss Axion 800 and the Zetor Cristal HD 170 medium tractor with a Topliner 4090H harvester, the Rudolph TDK 301 RP trailer. We have the Topliner 4090H grain header 4R harvester. We also have the POV 5 XL plow, the Agrimoz BTC 50H disc harrow, and the Pottinger Terrasem C6F seeder. We rounded out with the Bredal K105 fertilizer and lime spreader, as well as the VB 3190 round baler. With respect to mods and DLCs, this map does not have any custom vehicles or implements. Now, we mentioned already that our farmhouse is located here. We can sell the farmhouse if you are maybe looking to have a different farmhouse. Well, you can always start this map up in farm manager mode. You're going to have a greater bank balance. You will need to buy the farmland, but the only thing you're going to be missing is the farmhouse itself. And around back of the farmhouse, we do have 3 beehives. So the beehives and the farmhouse are the only things that we can sell on this map with respect to new farmer mode. If you don't want the bees, you don't want the farmhouse, then you might as well start in farm manager mode and take advantage of that greater bank balance. We have our spot here for our honey to spawn. Now, something else that you're going to find throughout the entirety of the map is we're working with buildings with what I would call lower quality textures. So with respect to our scoring, buildings where appropriate are using the new texturing. I'm going to have to say no to that because, well, we do have these lower quality, flatter textures. Now, we do have some very nice ground textures to work with, so we're not going to give the map a 0 there, but we are going to affect the score with respect to buildings and ground textures. Now, this farmland has several barns and several sheds for use of storing machinery and other implements. It is one large central farm. As we have kind of learned, the PGR farms are. They're kind of state-run farms, as I've learned over the years. Most of these sheds are actually empty at the start, and it really is a little sad and a little frustrating that we cannot sell these. Because, well, if you're not going to run a whole lot of machinery, you're not going to have much need to have all these sheds taking up the space, and you can better equip your farm in other ways. So here we have our silo dump point. And our silo fill point is right over here. Kind of an interesting setup. Nice large bale shed, indeed. We have 3 pull-through silage bunkers. 1, 2, and 3. We have our BGA. So we have our interactive icon. We have our digester. We have our dump point for slurry and our fill pipe for our digestate. As far as our cows, we can hold a total of 450 cows in this facility. We have our milk fill trigger located right here. And our slurry is going to be located over there. We'll take a closer look at that here in a moment. As far as our food trough, we're going to have to come into the pasture. And here we're going to be able to feed our cows. Here we have our slurry point. 2 nice sized slurry pits. And this is going to be one of the barn sell points. Let's go back here to the map. And we are located right here. So we have sell point barn. We have our hayloft that we haven't looked at yet. And then we have our grain silo, which we've already talked about. So one of the 2 barns is going to be located right here. Here we have our hayloft dump point, or fill point. Fill product out of the hayloft. And then our hayloft input point is going to be located right there. And we are quickly coming back full circle. All of our starting machinery is going to be under this roof here or under this lean-to. And then we have more vehicle and implement storage over there in that shed, and that is completely empty. Now this is typically used as a workshop building in the past, but this is just completely empty and also totally usable in the future. And that, everyone, is basically our starting farm. Let's get a little bit of height here, and we can kind of just take a quick overview once again of the starting farm area here. A lot of land being taken up, a lot of these buildings, like I said, a lot of area for a lot of machinery. But we do have quite a bit of farmland on this map in some rather large fields. So you are going to potentially have, well, several large pieces of machinery to deal with. Let's go ahead and make our way to the southeast corner of the map. We do have a train that runs around the perimeter of the map from the southeast all the way around to the northwest corner, and then it goes off map. With respect to our scoring, we have 3 productions built into the map. We have a BGA and 2 multi-production factories. And we're going to take a look at those here in a moment. So we're going to give the map a full point there. We have a rent train icon right here, kind of completely east of the starting farm, right along the map border. We are going to give the map a full point with respect to the ability to sell all of our basic crops, animal outputs, and productions. So over here we have a lot of various things going on. Welcome to one of our 2 fabric productions. But you can see based on what this fabric production takes as far as inputs, it's going to do a whole lot more than just take cloth and convert it into clothing, or take cotton and wool and convert it into actual fabric. So it's not really a spinnery, because we're able to make bread, cakes, cereal, butter, cheese, chocolate, wheat, barley, oat, and sorghum flour, sunflower, canola, and olive oils, raisins, grape juice, sugar, forage, pig food, and silage. All from this production facility named Fabric. So we have our interactive icon, we have our dump point, and then we have our pallet spawn point for things that are going to spawn as pallets. And that is going to be an output for things that spawn in bulk. Over here we have another sell point. This one is aptly named the egg sell point. Also located here, we have a grain elevator, purchase of root crops. Guess what? The other barn is located down here as well. This is going to be for eggs. And coming around, welcome to the other barn sell point. So you're gonna have to figure out, is it this barn or is it the barn up at the farm, as to is which is the best to sell various things. We have our animal dealer located down here with static cows. We're gonna have a fill point for seed and fertilizer. We're gonna have a lime buy point. We're gonna be able to sell our stones here. And then we have our dairy, so our milk sell point. We're going to be able to purchase slurry and manure from here. We have our grain sell point. And then we also have fuel down here as well. Continuing to make our way kind of toward the center of the map, but also down the southern part of the map. We also have a little bit of a town area. Now, the description said we had 2 villages. One village is right by the farm, and this is going to be the other village. And here at the other village, we do have a fill point for water. And the grocery sell point is located right here. And remember, a lot of the things were either sold at the fabric or at the grocery. So that is where our grocery is located. Let's make our way back up here to the central farm and then the town that is adjacent to that central farm. We're going to find another water fill trigger located just outside the main farm entrance, right here. And then in the village, we're going to come across a wood sell point. And another water fill point. That means our other fabric production is over here to the northwest. We do have between fields 1 and 2 another rent train trigger. We have fuel right next to our vehicle dealer. You see we've got a very large area for our vehicles to spawn. We will need to get out of the dealership by coming through here and then through this wall at the fuel point. As far as our dealer maintenance trigger and where we can come to sell and repaint, it's going to be over here at this building. So we do have our markers outside the building as well as inside the building. And then our activation icon for the dealer trigger is here at the workbench. Behind the dealer, we do have our sawmill. So we have our wood chip fill point. We have another water point there. I'm sorry. This is our wood cell trigger. Because here we have our wood cell icon. Now this is not a production sawmill. This is a simply wood cell sawmill. The only productions we have on the map are the 2 fabrics and then the BGA at the main starting farm. We have another rent train trigger here. We're going to have a silo dump and fill point. And then we're going to be able to drop product over onto the train or out of the train here. Now let's come back because I believe that's what I thought. I had thought I had missed the other fabric, and it is here by the town. And I apologize for that. So let's come back over here to the town, and we'll buy the other fabric production. And now that we own both fabric production, we can see this one is a little bit more contemporary to an actual spinnery. So our first fabric made bread, cake, cereal, butter, cheese, chocolate, flour, oil, sugar, grape juice, raisins, and then various animal feeds. Our second fabric, here closer to the main farm, is going to do fabric from wool and cotton, clothing, but then also it's going to take logs and make furniture, planks out of those. So kind of a weirdly named spinnery slash carpentry facility here, named fabric. And of course the other one named fabric as well. So there's our pallet spawn point for that. So I really wish this map had a couple things going for it. I wish, one, there weren't 2 barns named barn, and I wish there weren't 2 productions named fabric, because I think that's going to cause a lot of player confusion as to where what is, and it'd be nicer if they were maybe named something a little bit more descriptive. Now, with respect to the farms being customizable, since the only things we can really get rid of are the farmhouse here and the 3 beehives, we're only going to give the map a 1/4 of a point. With respect to buildings where probably are using the new texturing technique and ground textures, but we have very basic ground textures. They are modern to FS22, but very basic. And we also have very basic plants. So we're going to give the map another 1/4 point with respect to buildings and ground textures using the new texturing technique set up for Farm Sim 22. Now, I do think where the player and interactive areas are, they are clearly marked. So we are going to give the map a full point there. That's going to wrap this video up. It's going to wrap this map up with a score of 4 out of 5. Now, I would like to have seen the ability to sell the buildings, obviously, at the farm. That way, if we don't want or need to have all of that machinery storage, well, we can make use of that space other ways And it would have been nice at this point in FS22's life cycle to have seen these buildings with more modern FS22 textures. You will also notice that we can go through these power towers. So these power towers do not have collisions, so they should work pretty darn good with respect to hired help. Now, I'd love to know what your all's thoughts are down below with respect to this particular map. And until next time, happy farming.